All right, welcome back, everyone. How did that go? Thumbs up. So I assigned everyone to your breakout room kind of randomly, and if anyone has a request, like I know sometimes if there are family members and you want to be in different rooms, or like if you just send me a message either in an email or in that Mighty Networks, and we can definitely change up the rooms. Or if there's like a friend or a support person that you really want to be with, let me know. We can change up the rooms a little bit, but hopefully, like we do want you to connect with the same mentor every week um, here on, starting next week. All right. I think everybody is back now. So I am going to now introduce Centea, whom some of you had the pleasure of meeting in your breakout session, to tell you a little bit about herself and her experience as a past participant in the health challenge. So Centea, and I'm going to spotlight your video so we can all see you a whole lot
Thank
better.
you.
There you go.
Thank you, Karen. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So I wrote some stuff down because I don't want to forget any of my details. But my name is Centea. I'm about to turn 54 in 2 weeks, a few weeks from tonight. I've been whole food plant-based for just about a year now. And I never want to go back to the way I was eating before. Now, here's my story. A little over a year ago, I happened to see a flyer for the health challenge in the Office of Progressive Health. And I thought, hey, I'm healthy. I'll go see what this is about. I had no idea it was about plant-based eating, or I never would have gone, because I loved my meat and my chicken and my fish and my cheese and my eggs every day. And I really thought I was eating healthy. I was so misinformed and had such misconceptions. So the first day of the health challenge, I was totally blown away because Dr. Donahue said, our goal is to put our practice out of business. And I was like, wow. Then other patients stood up and talked about how eating plant-based had rid them of their diabetes, their high cholesterol, their cancer, heart disease, the artery plaque, things like that, and extra body weight, of course, and all these things. And I was like, oh, wow. So then the next week, they showed slides of what animal products actually did to the human body, the inflammation and all the correlations between disease and bad health. And I was just like, something in my brain just like shifted in that moment. And I just lost the taste and desire for all animal products. However, I still had bison burgers in my freezer. So I went home, I needed to clear out my freezer. I cooked one, took a bite, I put it in my mouth, and I was like, ew, I'm eating dead flesh. I spit it out, threw all of it away, and I haven't put animal products in my mouth since. And remember when I said that I was healthy before? Well, if I was so healthy, why did I have high blood pressure? It was in my family history. Everyone in my family gets on high blood pressure medicine in their 30s. Both of my babies were born prematurely because of my high blood pressure. I was on and off the meds for most of my adult life. I also had a lifelong chronic constipation problem. I needed to take 6 pills every day to go to the bathroom. I had random joint aches, periods of fatigue, low energy, some skin issues, and I had a nice little pot belly. And I have a history of like compulsive eating, emotional eating, to use food to comfort myself. And I was from time to time using processed foods, the high sugar, high fat, like ice cream or cookies, or the high salt, high fat stuff like chips. I was using those to comfort myself. And they're very addictive, but I would feel terrible. If I eat junk, I'm going to feel junky. So I would wonder why I would wake up with food hangovers in the morning. I thought, oh, I'm just tired. Anyway, so I started eating whole food plant-based, and this is what happened. I lost weight immediately, and I found I could eat more volume, and I love to eat. So eating more volume is fabulous. My high blood pressure completely went away, no more meds. In fact, the last time I went to the doctor, it was 112/60. I was floored. So food is much stronger and much more powerful than family history. My constipation went away completely for the first time in decades. I don't have to take any pills for that. I eat more fiber now. It's more filling. It's much more filling than the low carb way I was trying to eat before. Oh, and a weird thing, I used to have nosebleeds about once a week. Literally, I have not had a single nosebleed since I started eating whole food plant-based. I don't know what that's about, but I love it. My body feels great. I have more energy. My skin is clear, glowing. Hippocrates was sure right. Food is medicine. And my sugar cravings have gone away. I no longer eat that kind of junk food, the processed food that activated the reward system in my brain. So I no longer have the cravings. And boy, is that a nicer way to live. I wake up feeling refreshed with energy. I totally feel transformed. And I don't find it hard at all to eat this way. I can still eat delicious food. I cook Mexican, I cook Asian food. I just substitute animal products with any plant-based stuff I have at home, like portobello mushrooms, beans, whatever. And there's so many yummy recipes in plant-based cookbooks. Also, most restaurants have the most delicious options. So going out to eat is fine too, every now and then. And I would never stick to this if it wasn't delicious. A friend of mine said to me, "Oh, you eat salads every day." And I said, "Hell no, that would be boring. I don't even make salads, y'all. I make yummy, festive veggie bowls. And I throw whatever stuff I have in the house, like any kind of greens, like kale or spinach or arugula, any kind of beans I might have, any kind of veggies like avocado, beets, broccoli, peppers. And then I might saute some onions or garlic and put that in there. And then I put berries in there, sometimes frozen berries, chia seeds, flaxseed meal. I sprinkle lots of spices and splash on balsamic vinegar. It's a mixture of sweet, savory, hot, cold, gooey, crunchy. It's like a party in my mouth. I love it so much. But after my meals, I feel light and energetic. I'm full and satisfied, but I do not feel like a lethargic couch potato. Another friend of mine said, "Oh, I'd feel so deprived if I ate like you." And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm deprived, all right. I'm deprived of extra fat on my gut. I'm deprived of high blood pressure and constipation. I'm deprived of all the pharmaceuticals I used to have to take. Oh, and did I mention it's cheaper too? I saved money on all the meds I don't have to take, and meat and chicken and fish and all that. It's more expensive than the whole food plant-based way that I eat now." Now, the first few months, I did have a little bit of bloating and a little bit of gas because my body wasn't used to the fiber, but the wonderful community at Progressive Health told me just give it a few months. Sure enough, it all went away. I'm back to normal, feeling great. I'm so glad I didn't give up till the miracle happened. So I base my eating on Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. And I have the little meal plan that I use. That I keep both of these things in my kitchen to remind me. And it's wonderful. It is not a diet. It is a wonderful way of life, a way of being. And this is the new transformed me. I've never been happier. I feel grateful that I finally found the way that I want to eat and live for the rest of my life. Yay, vibrant health. And thank you, Progressive Health. That's it.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Wow.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Thank you, Cynthia.
Sure. My pleasure.
Wonderful.
Absolutely wonderful. And I see lots of thumbs up. Yeah, feel free. If anyone has any comments, type them in the chat box. We wanted to give you or have Cynthia share her story so that you can see, like, she came to this not really knowing what to expect and not really having any expectations and thinking that she ate healthy. And wow, like, that story is amazing. And I think just a true example of like what each of us can achieve when we follow, when we eat the foods that we're designed to eat and follow the other lifestyle medicine practices that Dr. Donahue highlighted in his talk earlier. So that said, I'm going to share my screen with you now, and we're going to jump into making a plan. Hold on one second. Of course, it's never where I want it to be. There we go. All right. All right, so we're going to jump into planning and goal setting because we want each of you to be really successful in achieving the goals that brought you here in the first place. And so hopefully you all have a piece of paper or notebook in front of you. And to start, we want you to identify your big goal. Like, what is it that you really, really want? And be specific. Like, a big goal is something you can achieve by a certain date. So I listed some examples here. There are countless other, goals you might want to have, but you want to be specific in setting your goal and when you want to achieve it by, so that you have like that beacon to aim for. All right, so next we want to think about, once you have it really clear and specific what your goal is, what's it going to do for you? So this is getting into your why, right? Like, okay, if your goal is to reverse your insulin resistance and get off diabetes medications, what's that going to do for you? Why is that important? So starting to think about what it will do, how your life will be different. As Centeia shared, how much better she feels, how much more energy she has, like all of these things that you can achieve when you reach that goal. And these are some of the things that you can think about in the course of the next couple of days too. You don't have to write all of this down now, right? So then imagine that. Like, I want you to imagine maybe another time in your life when you achieved something that you were really, really proud of. So for me, like, I use this example because I am a runner, and, winning a race or even finishing a marathon, like that feeling is something that I don't ever forget. I can imagine coming to mile 25 at the Boston Marathon and exactly what the scenery is like. And even though I'm hurting, like how great it feels to cross that finish line. So think about like the actual feeling of something maybe you've achieved in the past, or how you think it's going to feel, like how great it will feel when you achieve the goal that you're here to achieve.
Jeopardy on.
And remember that too, right? Like, you want to be able to channel that feeling. Even now when I'm on a run and I'm starting to feel tired, or maybe I have a little bit more to push, I think of like that last mile again. I can remember what it felt like years ago to come to mile 25. And I remember that feeling, and it helps me push through. So next, I want you to think about what's at stake. What happens if you don't achieve the goal that you're here to achieve? If you don't achieve that big goal, right? Like, if Centeia hadn't changed her way of eating, she'd still be taking medications. She might have a very much higher, or not might, she would have a higher risk of having a heart attack or stroke because of her high blood pressure. So what's at stake if you don't change? All right, so now, keeping those things in mind, right, that's going to help you create your plan. So that big goal is the end point. That's where you want to go. And I want you to think about where you are now. All right, like, what's the gap that has to be bridged in order for you to move from where you are now to where you want to be? And as Centeia said, like, I'm going to focus the rest of the time talking about diet, and certainly there are other things like your physical activity, your sleep, your social support and connections. avoiding harmful substances like alcohol and tobacco, as Dr. Donahue mentioned. They're all very important and will help you reach that goal. And for the rest of the time, I want to focus specifically on the food, because I think a lot of you are here to learn a whole lot more about that. And as Cynthia said, we're not recommending a specific diet. I'm not going to give all of you the same meal plan that says, eat this same thing. All of us are going to be eating the same way for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 4 weeks. All right? Because for a lot of us, that's why we haven't been successful in the past. Because when we follow somebody else's plan, it gives us no ownership or agency over our choices. And as soon as that plan doesn't work, well, then that was someone else's plan anyway. So you're going to create your plan, because there are countless ways to eat plant-based. There's so many varieties of foods, and you're going to find what works for you. And your mentors and Dr. Donahue and I are going to give you guidance and support and all the resources you need to be successful. So with that roadmap in mind of where you are now and where you want to be, all right, you want the results that you're achieving along the way to dictate the sufficiency of your plan, right? Like the changes that you commit to making tonight for the next week, well, how are they moving you in the direction of your goal? Are they moving you in that direction? All right. And if they are, fantastic, your plan is working. But if the actions that you commit to making, and for some people, actions work for a long time and they're getting great results, and then all of a sudden, like, they hit a wall and they feel a little stuck. Okay, so that's when you have to reevaluate and do some experimenting. Be curious. Take a step back and think, what can I change now? What tweaks can I make to continue to make progress and move towards my goal? All right, so let's dive in and talk a little bit more about food. These are some of the things that I make. All whole food, plant-based. Those brownies, amazing. They're made from sweet potatoes. And I will share that recipe with anyone who makes it. So look at all this color, tons of fiber, like Cynthia said. And as you've heard, we're really stressing a plant-based diet. Well, what exactly does that mean? We want to be really clear. A plant-based diet is one that eliminates animal products, all types of meat, fish, poultry included. They are meat. A lot of times people say, oh, I don't eat meat. And then I find out they eat all kinds of fish and chicken too. They're all meat. And an animal or a plant-based diet also excludes all dairy products and eggs. We also want to minimize added oils. They're refined foods. They don't add any fiber or nutrients to your diet other than fat. And highly processed foods, things made with oils, sugars, salt. That's how you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck and the most results in the shortest amount of time. And certainly some of you may be as ready as Cynthia was last year to kind of go home and clean out your fridge, or actually you're all home now. You don't have to go anywhere. Go upstairs, maybe, I don't know, into the next room and clean out your cupboards and your fridge. And some of you may be thinking, I'm not as ready to do that. But there is something that you are willing to do, and that's what we want to talk about tonight. So these are the 4 food groups. Like, we are talking about foods in this program. We're not talking about nutrients. We don't want people focusing on how much protein they get in a day or how many carbs, right? Like, as Dr. Donahue highlighted, the blue zone populations all eat the same kinds of foods. They all eat beans and lentils every day and a variety of whole grains and fruits and vegetables. So emphasizing you eating those foods and focusing on working in those specific foods. So non-starchy vegetables, like, just think now, how many do you eat in a day? You can't eat too many. They're only 100 calories per pound, so you can fill up. There's not a number of non-starchy vegetables that you can't eat. Like, fill up on them, have a variety, like the picture shows, get a variety of color. And, with your plan, just thinking like, what can you do right now to add one more serving a day? All right, so the same goes for fruits, and there's a lot of misinformation out there about fruit, especially for people with diabetes. You cannot eat too many fruits in a day. It is one of the best ways to reduce your cancer risk. It is one of the best ways to reverse insulin resistance by eating more fruit. To lower your blood pressure. So I encourage people to eat at least 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. So again, thinking about where you are now. How many fruits do you eat in a day right now? What can you do to eat one more or two more? Potatoes, as Dr. Donahue mentioned, and other starchy vegetables like this time of year, butternut squash and other types of squash are wonderful ways to fill up. Potatoes and those starchy foods are going to help fill you up for very little calories. So potatoes, wonderful. It's what we do to them in America. It's the sour cream, it's the cheese, it's frying them. That is what we want to avoid. Unrefined whole grains. So I have a variety listed here. So this means grains that are not processed. So you'll see bread isn't listed, and it's not to say that bread is a bad food and you should never eat it. You can certainly choose to eat bread, and there are a lot of high fiber, healthy options out there. But certainly the less processed your foods are, the better, and the lower in calorie density. So if weight loss is a goal, choosing some of these options is going to benefit you more. All right, and then legumes. So I cannot stress how much I want each of you to eat beans and lentils every single day. And as Cynthia said, if you're not eating them often, like in America, people consume very few legumes. And in those blue zones, they're staples. Like in Okinawa, in Loma Linda, people are eating them every day. And you might want to increase your consumption slowly, add in a half a cup this first week, add in another half a cup next week, like per day. Because as Cynthia mentioned, like if your gut has not been having as much fiber as is optimal, you're not working the probiotic bacteria that thrive on fiber, okay? So once you start feeding them, they're gonna start working. And if you feed them slowly, you might not experience the gas and the bloating, but you can also power through it the way Cynthia did, because it will go away once your gut adjusts. All right, so you're gonna get with your mentors really soon and start thinking about what your breakfast looks like now and what you can change it to, what your lunch looks like now, and some things you can change it to, right? Swap a sandwich for a hummus and veggie wrap and some fruit and a salad, or beans and rice. Swap, the chicken and mashed potatoes for an awesome lentil stew. And your mentors, trust me, have tons of resources for recipes, cookbooks, everything that you might need. Honestly, I think the simpler the better, especially when you're getting started. So, oatmeal with fruit in the morning, some beans and rice and salad for lunch. Like pick a few things that you feel like you can stick with and do consistently, and then build off that solid foundation. So there's some suggestions here, things you might want to eat. And again, you're going to meet with your mentors and get more into depth. You're also going to get these slides in an email so you can go through and look and see like some of these options for meals. But just to give you a variety, look at all the color, so many options. All right, so what will you do for the next week, right? Like keeping in mind your goal, and then what specific steps do you need to take to make progress in reaching it? And we want your goal to be specific and something that can be measured, and something that you feel really confident in achieving in the next week. So some examples here of SMART goals are things like, I'm going to eat 3 plant-based meals every day for the next week until we meet back again next Tuesday. And you can see some examples. All of these are related to food. You might have a SMART goal that says, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday this week. There's a lot of ways that you can set up these SMART goals. But the benefit of having them be so specific is that you can measure how you're doing. And Dr. Donahue shared a calendar. You can use a calendar that you have at home. Your SMART goal is something that is easily measured, because at the end of the day, if your goal is to walk 20 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all you have to do on Monday is say, did I do it? Yes or no. Put a check in your calendar if you did it. Same thing on Wednesday, same thing on Friday. So we're not asking you to, journal every single food that goes into your mouth, every single movement you make. Your SMART goals are so specific that at the end of the day, they can be answered by saying yes or no. All right, so now you're going to get back with your mentors. Let me set up these breakout rooms and talk some more about what your specific plan is, and commit to something that you're going to share with your mentor, either privately or with the group, so that when we come back next week, we can all talk about and regroup and chat about how the progress was, any challenges that you may have experienced, and go from there. All right, let me stop sharing first. So this time you are going to have 12 minutes again. All right, I'm opening all the rooms.